machine, man. It's driving me nuts lately. Let's get started all. Yesterday, Fareed, I got a mail from you regarding not having the deck. There was also somebody else that sent me a mail. Who else sent me a mail yesterday? I was seeing. Oh, you sent me a mail, but okay, anyhow, send that one. 1 second. Excuse me. All right, that's done. Fareed, I sent you the mail, so let me know when you get it, okay?
What are you sending, the slides and the videos from last week?
Yeah, he didn't have it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, so we're starting session number 3 today. It's 3. Where is it?
8.
That's class 8, not slides 8. Okay, any questions from what we covered yesterday? Okay,
Sir, sorry, I have a question.
yes, Jose.
Yeah, so regarding yesterday, like you said, we have to create the stories. Yesterday, we also did the task like what the system user do and system do. Should we have to include those things in the task, subtask?
Yes, those are the acceptance criteria, right? Those are the details of the story, right?
Yeah, like the user go in, log
Yes,
in.
got to identify the workflow.
Okay, thank you.
You gotta get used to it because when you're learning also how to write use cases, which is going to be another thing.
Yes.
Next week, you're going to learn what use cases. There also, you're going to be identifying the workflow, the basic flow, alternative flows, and other things as such, okay?
Okay, and we don't need to show anything like to-do list and they are in progress or done.
No, those are going to be coming straight from Jira, right? And
Yes,
that's, you're
correct.
talking about a board, so you're not showing a board right now.
Okay, just creating the sprint and first running the sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So session C starts to talk about what are requirements. So these are the definitions of requirements. A requirement is nothing but a condition or capability that is needed by the stakeholders to solve a problem or achieve an objective. A condition or capability that must be met or possessed by a solution or solution component to satisfy the standard specifications as well as other informally imposed documents. Things that need to be put forward before starting the project, things that the product must do or qualities the product must have. Of course, the requirements may be unstated, implied, or derived by, or directly stated and managed in your requirements documents, right? There are different types of requirements. We studied this already. We have the business requirements. These are higher level statements of goals, objectives, needs of the enterprise. They describe the reasons why the project has been initiated, the objectives that the project will achieve, as well as the metrics that will be used to measure its success, right? The project requirements provide the foundation and the reference for all the detailed requirements to be developed. Then you have your system requirements, and system requirements basically will describe the characteristics of the solution that meet those business requirements and stakeholder requirements. You have, of course, your functional requirements, right? Which describe the capabilities that the system will be able to perform in terms of the behaviors or the operations. There's a specific information technology actions as well as their responses. So functional requirements are always focusing on how the system and the user interaction will be. What will be the process, right? FRD always answers the question, how? While BRD focuses on what needs to be built, right? What features, what functions. The how part is answered in the FRD. Everybody clear on that? Yes?
Yes.
All right, let's be interactive, guys. Come on. All right. Then we have our non-functional requirements. So non-functional requirements are conditions that will not directly relate to the behavior or functionality of the solution, but rather describe the environment or conditions under which the solution must remain effective or qualities that the system must have. These will include requirements which are related to the capacity, to the speed, to the security, the availability, and the information architecture and the user interface, the UI. These will make the product acceptable, but do not alter the product's functionality. They basically bring value to the product. These are non-functional requirements. The non-functional requirements are typically given to you by the technology side, not business side. Okay. Any questions on business, functional, non-functional? No questions?
No.
Okay. Let me give you some examples. You categorize them in the right category, okay? Fareed,
Yes, sir.
all right. So you got a requirement. You need to display our clients' portfolios. That is the requirements. You need to display as part of your account reporting your client's portfolio. What kind of requirement is this?
Yeah, actually, it is functional requirements.
It's functional requirement.
Yeah.
Explain how you plan to do it.
At the first time, uh, we may mm, uh, we may take we may get appointment with the stakeholders.
No,
Uh,
no, 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 no. I mean, repeat to me what was the requirement again? What requirement did I give you?
the requirement is the the base of information that we collected from the stakeholder.
No, no, no. I am the stakeholder. I'm giving you the requirement. What requirement did I just give you?
Um,
What was the requirement I just gave you?
yeah, the requirements that I need to prepare the
No, 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 no. What
project.
was, I gave you a requirement right now. Just now I gave you a requirement. Did you hear what I said or were you not paying attention?
And I was here.
I know you were here, but did you hear what I said? Manoj, Manoj,
Yes, sir.
what was the requirement I just gave you guys?
You said to display the portfolio to the clients.
I know you go by the name of Salman also.
No.
Again, class, what was the requirement I gave you? The client told you that you need to do what? Business stakeholders told you what? That you need to, what Salman just said.
Create a profit to prove.
Say there again. Did somebody say profit? There was no mention of any profit. Mayank, Muhammad, Ozair, Rahman.
Yes,
What
sir.
was the requirement?
Joined in.
Yes, sir. Display the portfolio of accounts showing. Accounts showing.
Displaying of the client's portfolio was the requirement. You got it? Pay attention, everybody.
Yes.
So now, what kind of requirement is this? The requirement is we need to display our clients' portfolios. What kind of requirement is this?
Business,
Why?
because it's telling us what to enable the customer to do.
No, not what to enable. It's telling us what we need to do.
Okay.
You understand? What we need to do. It answers the question, what needs to be done? Understand? That's why it's a business requirement. If I told you that this will be done when the client logs in to the system, we will display a linear graph to the user. By default, the graph will be showing the previous 6 months of portfolio performance, right? The user will be able to change the portfolio's performance from a 6-month to a 1 year by clicking on a little link that will be displayed on the top of the graph. And you'll be able to go from a 6-month view to a 1-year view to a 5-year view. He will also be able to select and unselect accounts that are part of his portfolio by clicking on a button which will be at the bottom of the graph. So you're going to be listing all the accounts that are in his portfolio individually underneath the graph, and you'll be able to unselect and select those accounts by clicking on the button, and the button will display the account number there and the type of account. What am I giving you now? What did I just give you? What kind of requirements?
Functional and non-functional?
Functional and non-functional. Which ones were functional? Which ones were non-functional, Mayank? Which of those requirements were functional? Which ones were non-functional? Name one that was non-functional. Let's go with that.
I just joined in, so I'm just reading it out. What's there on the slide?
Okay.
Yeah.
But you heard all the different requirements I gave you, right? So you said functional and non-functional, right? You think functional and non-functional requirements are the same?
No, they're different.
They're different, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in all that I told you, you must have thought some were functional and some were non-functional to say that answer, right?
I think Displaying of client portfolio is non-functional.
Displaying of the client portfolio is non-functional.
Yeah.
Why?
Could you repeat what you just said about thing, like what we have to figure out?
You have to figure out, am I giving you functional requirements? Am I giving you business requirements? Am I giving you non-functional requirements?
No, I mean,
What are you trying to figure out?
I mean to repeat what you said about what you said before. What we have to figure out if it's functional, not functional, or business.
I just said that a second ago. What do you mean? I'm confused at the question.
I mean, I'm just telling you what I'm asking you to repeat what we have to classify as uh, a type.
You want me to repeat all the requirements again?
That's the end part.
So say that now. What kind of questions are you guys asking? You don't even know what to ask properly. You should say, sir, can you please repeat the requirements one more time? Is that what you were asking me?
Yes.
All right. When the user logs in, we're going to be displaying the account portfolio performance in a linear graph. The user will be able to select the graph's timeline. By default, it will be 6 months. He'll be able to switch to a 1-year view or a 5-year view by clicking the links on the top of the graph. There's going to be links on the top of the right side of the graph. All right. On the bottom of the graph, you will be displaying all the different accounts that are part of his portfolio. They'll be displayed as buttons underneath. So the user will be able to unselect and select those buttons to remove an account from the portfolio versus keep it in together as a portfolio. Got it?
Yeah. The position of the graphs would be non-functional requirements.
Positions of the graph will be non-functional requirements. What do you mean by position of the graphs? Explain that one.
Like, because the position of the graph would not directly relate to the behavior or functionality of the solution, which is the graph.
No. No. If I asked you how you plan to display the portfolio, simple question. What are you going to say? Answer the question how. Functional requirements answers how, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So explain how. How are you going to do it? How are you going to show the portfolio? Oh, Lord. Guys, I just told you how you're
Can I
going to show
log
the
in?
portfolio.
These are all functional requirements. So
These are all functional requirements. They answer the question how. In a graph. By default, the view will be 6 months. You can switch it to a 1-year, 5-year. These are how. They don't answer the question how.
yes,
Am I not explaining the exact damn behavior to you? Am I not explaining the behavior to you?
Yes.
The user action and the system action. Huh? Tell me. By the way, you guys understand what a portfolio is, right?
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay, this is not the guy's pictures, okay? This is not that kind of portfolio. This is a accounts portfolio, right? And these are functional requirements, guys. Functional. They explain how you plan to achieve the what. What was the business requirement?
It was stating what
Display.
requirements we needed to fulfill.
What was it, yaar? Come on. How
Display
was it
client
given to
portfolio
you?
of account.
Displaying the client's portfolios. This was the what? What we need to do, correct?
Business
The
requirement.
KPR was provide the user the ability to see his portfolio. You understand?
Yes.
And now you are detailing it in how. How do you plan to do it? As a graph, as well as you're identifying other functionalities of that graph. The default view, how you can switch to a different view, right? How you can unselect accounts that are part of his portfolio. Let's say he has 5 accounts in his portfolio. How many buttons will be coming underneath the graph? How many buttons will be underneath the graph if he has 5 accounts in his portfolio? Oh God.
Select and unselect button.
How many accounts? How many buttons?
2 buttons.
Why? How many accounts does he have?
5
Like
buttons.
5 buttons?
Yes.
Okay.
What the hell's 2 buttons going to do? Which 2 accounts are you going to unselect out of the 5 with those 2 buttons? Or are you thinking about select and unselect button? What the hell does the unselect button do? Now, if I told you that when the user logs in, this graph should be loaded, right, and visible to the user anywhere between 8 to 10 seconds. The graph should load between 8 to 10 seconds. What kind of requirement?
Functional.
Everybody agree with Sayed?
Yeah, it is functional.
Non-functional?
One functional? What do you mean by one functional?
Non-functional.
Non-functional.
Yeah, because it's related to speed.
And why do you think, Sayed, it's related to function?
Uh, just because there is like an overall expectation of the action, like a
And what is
certain
the action?
the time when you
And requirements that are related to time are what?
they are non-functional.
Got it?
Yeah.
Everybody clear? This is a non-functional requirement. So let's say, Sayed, you are now testing this application, okay?
Mhm.
We built it according to these requirements. All right? You go to login, okay?
Yes.
You enter your user ID, you enter your password, you enter your security token, and you get to the home page, okay? On the home page, you click on the portfolio tab, and the portfolio page starts to load, okay?
Mhm.
After about 15 seconds, the graph is up, all right? Displaying the user's portfolio, all right? By default, the 6-month view did come up. You click on from 6 months to a 12-month view, the graph loads up. You click again on a, you know,
Weekly or yearly.
one one year view, and then from a 1 year you go to a 5-year view, right? It loads up again. You click on the buttons on the bottom, the 5 buttons representing the 5 accounts in the client's portfolio. You're able to unselect and select them. The graph does change. In other words, the values that were part of that account fall off and come back on when you click it again. Okay? So class, have we met the business requirement?
No, these are all functional requirements.
Acha, what was the business requirement? Remind me.
Yeah, I mean like this. You are describing everything as like functional or display.
I believe the
Was
business
there?
requirement
Inclined.
was
Was there?
the
What
time.
was the business requirement?
It had to
This
load. It had to load within
displaying
7 days.
client
No,
portfolio
that was
of
not the
account.
business requirement. What was the business requirement?
To display the customer's portfolio.
Very good. To display the customer's portfolio. Have you met that requirement?
Excuse me if just because I don't really remember. I remember you gave a certain amount of seconds. I don't know if you changed that.
That was a business requirement?
Got it. Got it.
Huh?
No.
All right. Then why are you talking about that?
Got it. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, it's a business requirement, and it did.
Are you viewing the client's portfolio? Simple yes or no answer.
You're viewing only the graph. I don't know if it's the whole portfolio.
Yes.
Damn it, what's in the graph?
Yes, we are looking
Yes.
at
Of course you are. Did you meet your functional requirements?
yes.
Yes, you did. The graph loaded, I said, loaded with a 6-month default. You were able to switch it between a 6-month to a 1 year to a 5-year. You're able to select and unselect the accounts. Those were the functional requirements I gave you, correct?
Yes.
Did you just test them? Yes. Are they working? Yes. So you met your business requirement. You met your functional requirements. Did you meet your non-functional requirement?
No. Because
Why not?
I think the speed was different than what we
Speed was
expected
different.
it to be. Yeah,
All right.
it
Mohammed,
was slower.
what was the speed? What was the non-functional requirement?
I believe it was six. It should have been loaded in 6 to 8 seconds, but it
Actually,
took
I
us
said
15
8 to
seconds.
10. So you're still not following and not noting stuff down. I had given you the non-functional requirement as
8 to 10
8
second graph.
to 10 seconds for the graph to load. Correct?
Yes.
And while you were testing it, how long did it take it to load?
15.
15. So did you meet your non-functional requirement?
No.
No, you did not. The graph's taking too long to load, right? So while we can meet business requirements, we can meet functional requirements. Sometimes we do not meet non-functional requirements due to speed not being there, right?
Right.
Say instead of buttons coming at the bottom of the graph that you can select and unselect, what if there was check boxes? You understand what a checkbox is, right?
Yes.
So instead of having a button on the bottom, say there's a checkbox with the 5 accounts listed there and all 5 have been selected. And you can select and unselect by clicking on the checkbox. So, if you click on one of the checkboxes, it becomes unselected, right? And that removes the account. And you select it, that adds the account. Is the functionality working? Are you meeting your functional requirements of adding and removing accounts from the portfolio?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, still working.
Yes. Checkbox.
All
Yeah.
right. But how was the original requirement? It said that the entire account should be as a button, not a checkbox, right?
Yes.
So again, this is a presentation or the user interface requirements, right? You understand
Yes,
what
correct.
I'm saying? The requirement was provide the user the ability to unselect or select his accounts, right? Yes. So that he can remove an account from his portfolio and he can put it back into his portfolio, right? If he wants to see the overall performance of his account, right? Say if I didn't have this account, how my portfolio will look, right? You understand the requirement, right?
Yes.
Right? But the problem here is that the requirement had also said that it has to be as a button, right? Let's say when you select the button, the color of the button is green. When you unselect it, it becomes grayed out. You understand? You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
When you select the button, it becomes colored, but once you unselect it, it becomes grayed out. Everybody seen this requirement before?
Yes.
Yes, right?
Yes.
Let's say when I unselect it, the color of the button is not changing. What is this kind of requirement? Talking about color of the button and the look and feel of the button. This would be a
System requirement.
non-functional
Non-functional.
Non-functional.
because it is related to the
Technology side.
no, the UI, the presentation of the UI. User interface, you know user interface, right? You're very quiet. You guys understand or you don't understand?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
got it.
like the front end.
Right. Look, at the end of the day, the functionality was to select and unselect. That's working, right? But how the user is exactly doing it and how the system is displaying that is different. Get what I mean? How the user will do, you'll have the ability to click on the button, on the checkbox, whatever the requirements are exactly, right? There can be additional functions associated with that, like how, say you fill out a form, right? And let's say you left something mandatory and you click next. What happens to that page?
Show the error, not go forward.
Well, yes, it shows a error message that please fill all mandatory fields, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
This is what? This is a,
Mandatory requirement.
it's a functional requirement.
Yeah.
You understand? The business requirement would be that we need to validate all mandatory fields on the page, right? This is a business requirement, correct? The functional side of this would be if the validation fails, meaning some mandatory field was not filled, then we need to display this to the user. First of all, you need to display an error message, right? And after the error message, you need to highlight the field that was missed. This is the functional side of it, correct? This is showing you how you plan to do that, right? You understand?
Yes.
The requirement could be that you need to put or highlight that field that he missed as red with a red background. You know where you have the entry field? That entry field should be highlighted as a red base. You understand? When you enter the information, that should be highlighted as red. Let's say when you went to test it, it wasn't highlighted as red, but the outer boundary of that box was turning red. You understand the difference between what is expected and what is happening?
Yes.
So instead of loading that entry field, painting the whole entry field as red, only the outer border of the entry field is turning red. You understand? you're still getting the error message that please go back and fill the mandatory field. So again, the business requirement of validating that page, was that met? Yes. Right? Guys, stay
Yes.
with me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm looking at a bunch of deers on the highway with the headlights. Is it like that or it isn't like that?
We are here. Yeah.
That hour
You're
of me
here?
took a toll.
Yes.
Deer headlights or non-deer headlights?
I'm here.
अच्छा, वही तो पूछ रहा हूँ. I know you're here, but as a deer with the headlight look or non-deer headlight look?
Non-deer look.
Non-deer headlight look. Okay, that means you understand what's going on. If you're giving me the deer headlight look, that means you don't know what the hell's going on. Okay. So the business requirement was met because you got the error message and the field was highlighted, right? But the non-functional side of it was not met because the non-functional said that paint the entire field as red. You understand? Highlight the field's header, highlight the field. But right now, only the boundary box of the field is getting highlighted, right? So the non-functional side is not being met because the UI is not behaving like I'm expecting the UI to behave. Everybody understand?
So it would have been that. You would have slept another hour.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh Lord.
Sir,
So
I have a
business
question.
requirements met, functional requirements met, non-functional not met. Understood?
Yes.
Could you raise a defect? Would
No.
you raise a defect?
No.
No, you would not raise a defect. Why not?
Because it's a user interface.
So what? Who's going to fix that?
The technology side.
And how are they going to fix that if you don't raise it as a defect?
We have to report him that this
How are you
function.
planning on reporting him? Going to send a mail?
No, like whatever the method, like reach out.
What do you mean? What is the method? The method is raise a damn defect
Yes.
and assign it to him,
Yes.
right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Remember testing? Or you forgotten testing?
Yes, correct. We have to do the testing, quality
Yes.
testing.
That's what you're doing, right?
Yes.
All right.
Regarding those boxes, like these are not like a mandatory thing, but we can give the option to the user, to the
What do you
our
mean you give the
stakeholder.
option to the user?
I mean, like the red highlighted thing that is not being required by if it is not required by the stakeholder.
Well, if the stakeholder told you that, look, you need to inform the person that is filling this form that he has missed some field, don't you think you're going to ask him, how do you plan on informing him?
Yeah, we are going to inform them. Yeah.
And aren't you going to document that?
Yes, correct.
And aren't you going to test that?
Yes, correct. We are going to test
Then
that as well.
where's the disconnect?
Okay.
When you go to buy a new car, does the salesperson need to know what color it's going to be?
Yes, correct.
You sure? Or you tell him, just give me any Honda Civic?
No, he knows like how many inventory he have.
But how the hell does he know how much inventory he has if you don't tell him which color you want?
Yeah, we have to specify him.
Right? What is
Yes.
specifying called? You're giving him your
Functional requirement.
correct. Right? He's going to check the inventory of every car he has, not knowing which car you want.
Yes, correct. Yeah, he doesn't give us the right thing. So,
Right?
yes, correct. Yeah.
All right. Characteristics of good requirements. So good requirements are requirements that are number one, necessary. Number two, verifiable. Number three, attainable and have clarity. Okay. Very important things when it comes to requirements. How do we know a requirement is necessary? If it is in line with the business objectives and goals, correct? What does it mean to verify? What's another word for verify?
Test.
Test. So if you can't test your requirement and you can't say if your requirement was met or not met, then not a good requirement, right? And it all comes directly in regards to clarity. Like the example I just told you, if I told you that I want you to go ahead and rent me a vehicle for the weekend, is this a necessary requirement? Is it necessary?
Yeah.
Why? How do you know it's
Maybe
necessary?
it's necessary for you to have a vehicle on the
Mohammed,
weekend.
Mohammed, you got kids?
No.
Married?
No.
Oh Lord, you're a very bad example. Who's married and has kids?
Yeah,
What-
Ali
what-
bhai.
who Ali bhai?
I'm married, but no kids.
But no kids. Okay. So Fareed, you got kids?
Yeah, I have a kid.
How old is your oldest kid? Boy, girl?
He's by around 2 years old.
Huh?
He's a boy and he's around 2 years old.
2 years old. Okay, he's still young. So let's say this kid we'll make him a little bit older, Fareed, okay? Let's
Yeah,
say he is 10 years old. Okay?
yeah.
And the kid tells you, Dad, I want a PlayStation 10. Probably PlayStation 10 will be out by then. Right? Is that a necessary requirement for it? Or Muhammad, or anyone for that matter?
Yes.
Yes,
It is.
yes.
Why is it?
He specify in his PlayStation 10.
Are, is it a necessary requirement? Do you understand what the word necessary means?
I think it's necessary, yes.
Acha, who says it's necessary? Sayyid.
Saeed.
Why is it necessary, Sayyid?
Because then dad comes home with an Xbox and the son starts crying.
How about dad doesn't come home with anything?
then
Huh?
then then the child is depressed
Why is he depressed? What was the goal?
to get the system.
You think that was his dad's goal?
No,
No, right?
no.
So the question is that requirement attached to any goal, right?
I see.
You understand? A requirement is necessary if it is assigned to a business goal or a business objective, right? Now, let's say Fareed said, baby boy, if you get all A's, all 4 semesters, then I will get you a PlayStation 10. Now, is that requirement attached to a goal?
Yes,
Yes.
correct. Yes.
Then does it become a necessary requirement?
Yes.
Yes,
Then getting all A's would become a
that's the
requirement.
goal.
I'm actually just a little confused.
As
One
long as it's little and not a lot, Sayyid, we all good.
one of the requirements
Uh-huh.
was technically the child speaking to the father, and then the
That's
other
not a technical requirement. That's a discussion.
yeah. And then the second requirement or part of the discussion was the father. So that would happen after the son says, "Dad, I want the PlayStation 5," and then the
So
father.
dad gave him the goal, right? What is the big business goal? For his kids to perform good in school,
Wait,
right?
I know I don't want to lose track. Is he giving him the goal after being asked for the system? Or
No, we are trying to assess the requirement that the kid gave. Is it in line with any goals,
got it. Okay, I understand.
right?
Right.
So the goal was to perform good in school, get straight A's,
Yeah.
right? Now, this requirement is in line with that because this requirement will make him achieve the goal.
Yes, correct.
It'll make him work harder, right? Because he's going to be expecting that at the end. You got it?
Yes.
Same way, let's say, Syed, you go and tell Dad, I want a Ferrari.
Good choice.
Good choice. Dad asks, why do you need a Ferrari? Go to college, Dad. I need to commute, right? So why the hell can't you just commute with a goddamn Corolla, man?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So is the Ferrari a necessary requirement?
No.
No.
No,
No,
Yeah.
it's a luxury.
right? But Dad, I'm gonna look really cool. All the girls gonna check me out stepping out of the Ferrari. Well, that's not in line with the damn goal.
You can go on cycle.
Yes, here's a skateboard, Syed. You know how to skateboard, Syed? Syed is all quiet. I think he's depressed from not getting the Ferrari. Syed, it's okay, man.
It's not here.
Did Syed
No, yeah.
jump out of the class because we said no to him for his Ferrari? Where's Syed? No, he's here. He's just not saying anything.
He's still here.
He's still here, suffering depression. But the mic broke as soon as it heard the word no Ferrari. So again, that requirement is not a necessary requirement. Do you have public transportation?
Yes.
Yes. If you have public transportation, why do you even need a car?
Yes, correct.
What if you're living on the damn dorm? What
Just walk.
commuting to school?
Walking.
Right. Right. Then do you need a car?
No.
No. It does not line up with your goals and objectives. You understand? You want to get into med school, right? That's your goal. Going to college, is that a necessary requirement?
Yes.
Of course it is. Oh, Ferrari guy is back.
Oh,
What
I'm
happened,
sorry.
Syed?
I didn't realize I was talking. I didn't take myself off mute. I was here. Sorry.
I was like, I think I thought maybe loss of Ferrari was just too much for Syed to bear.
It was too fast.
So again, applying to college, necessary requirement, right? You ain't going to med school without getting through college first, right? Undergrad before grad, right? Getting a very high GPA, is it a necessary requirement?
Yes.
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 Sitting for your MCATs, is that a
Yes.
necessary requirement?
Yes.
Yes. Right? Are all of these requirements, getting into college, sitting for your MCATs, getting high GPA, verifiable requirements?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
They're all verifiable. They'll be tested. Are they attainable?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Well, yeah, they're attainable requirements. Depends on what the student is going to do. Right? Are they clear?
Yes.
No. Did I tell you how much on the MCATs you need?
No. No.
Did I tell you what the hell is a high GPA?
No.
No, right?
Yeah.
Can I go to county college and get into med school? Maybe. Right? It'll be tough. Understand the difference between if I tell you, we'll use Syed again. Syed,
Yes.
come tonight for dinner, my place.
Right.
Is this a verifiable requirement?
No.
Why not?
I don't have the time. I don't have the location.
Correct. You don't have the time, you don't have the location, right? So you need to clarify these requirements, right? What time are we having dinner? And get my address, correct?
Yes.
Then the next thing will be, is it attainable, right, Sayed?
Right.
Attainable means, do you have a car to get to my place, right? Is there public transportation to get to my place? Are you going to be using an Uber to get to my place, right? That is what it will make it attainable, right?
Right.
And then once you have the address, you have the time, I will be able to verify if you made it on time or not, right?
Yes.
Is it a necessary requirement? Yes, the
Yes.
goal is for you to get to know my family, right?
Yes.
So having dinner at my place is in line with that
Goal.
goal.
Right.
Everybody clear?
Yes.
All right. So the requirements, of course, should state what is required and not how to accomplish them, right? How is covered where?
Functional requirement.
Functional requirements. Always remember, first business, then functional. First identify what needs to be done, then we can talk about how we plan to achieve it, right?
Yes.
Every business requirement must be found, every business requirement found must have a common goal. And where do we typically find the goals? In the scope and
Vision.
Vision.
or if no scope and vision, project charter. Good requirements, of course, are close to business, not to technology. They should be in the language that the client speaks and get rid of words like the best, the easiest, user-friendly. These all need to be converted to clear, measurable, traceable requirements. Can you test any of these? If I asked you what's the best phone in the market, I bet I would get different answers from all of you.
Right.
If I ask you what was the easiest subject in college, I bet I'm going to get different answers from you. If I ask you what is more user-friendly, iOS or Android operating system, I will get different answers from you. Correct? These are requirements that are in the eye of the beholder and can lead to different meanings. So you need to remove them. Everybody clear? All right. Let's start with the scope and the vision document. All right. So now we're going to deep dive into the scope and the vision document. What stage of the project is the scope and the vision? What stage of the project is the scope and the vision? Come on, guys.
The first
Analysis.
stage.
First one could
The
be a
first
Planning.
stage. Doesn't the first stage have a name? First
Analysis.
stage.
Planning.
Initiation,
Planning, initiation,
planning.
or inception,
conception. Yeah.
right? Planning, initiation, inception. So you will find the scope and the vision there. If the scope and the vision is not there, you will find the
Project charter.
Project
project
charter.
charter there. So both documents have literally similar things in it. So same things you will find in the scope and vision will also be found in the project charter. All right. So the document called the scope and the vision will give a clear, complete picture of all the aspects of the project that are required to successfully accomplish the project. It will have the purpose of the project background, the business objectives, the success criteria, the customer, the market needs. It will have the client and the stakeholders identification, right? It will have the major features. It will have the scope, inclusion, exclusion. It may have a scope diagram. It will identify the constraints, the assumptions, the dependencies. It will identify the project constraints, any kind of solution constraints. It will have a glossary, as well as that document will get signed off, okay, or approved. So let's start this by reading this case study. So who wants to read the case study for me? Let's pick somebody that doesn't speak a lot. Rahman.
Sir, you'll have to excuse me. I'm at the parking. I mean, at the airport receiving
You're
somebody.
at the airport parking.
Yes. So
You didn't give Sayyid this Ferrari. You're leaving the country now.
I'm actually trying to bring him a Ferrari.
He's trying to he's importing the Ferrari for you, Sayyid. All
Very,
right. No
very
problem.
nice.
Very good.
Thank you,
Okay.
brother.
All right. No
I'll
problem.
I'll read it for him since he's being
Yes.
so nice.
Since while he's waiting for the Ferrari. Okay, go ahead. Read it.
XYZ Systems is developing a product for general purpose use. The project is to develop a product that takes orders from customers and schedule the delivery of the goods. ABC Supermarket has agreed to be the first client for the product. Major reason for developing the product is to liaise with the warehouse so the delivery can be scheduled at the time of taking the order. This increase in the business to a great extent and also this increases the business to a great extent and also improves customer satisfaction. Currently, the assistant has to take order and then schedule and then inform the delivery time at two different rosters. This duplicates the work and also delays schedules.
So this is like a background of what's going on, right? Who would have given us this background? It would have been the project sponsor, the SMEs, the client manager, right? Business would have given us this information. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Right.
And this is, of course, in the planning stage, it's kind of telling you, you know, what are we here to do, right? At a very high level.
Yes.
What's the problem we are facing, right? So typically, the scope and the vision can be a presentation, a PPT. Everybody know what a PPT is? PowerPoint presentation, right? Right? So it'll have different slides in it. One of the slides could be the purpose of the project. So the purpose of the project is typically a single and ambiguous measurable statement that clearly describes the reason for building the project. This is the highest level of your customer requirements, your customer needs. Must have a business objective, must be measurable and achievable. So the business project purpose of the project here is to accurately judge the schedule of delivery of goods and then to provide a prompt reply back to the customers. This is what we are trying to do. Everybody clear?
Yes.
All right. Next is your project background, or sometimes referred to as the landscape. What is the project landscape or project background? Basically, it summarizes the rationale of the new product, provides a general description of the history of the situation that has led to the recognition that this product must be built. Pretty much similar to what Sayed just read. So the current supermarkets have a problem of liaisoning with the warehouse to get details of the availability of the goods and the transportation. They have to take orders and provide schedules at two different rosters. Basically, this is causing duplication of the work and causing delays in the delivery, right? It seems like a disjointed system. Warehouse is using one system, the shipping department is using a different system, the sales rep who is dealing with the customer is taking the order in a different system. It's a fully disjointed system. You understand? There's no synergy here. So this project is kind of a synergy. We're trying to develop one product that would bring the functions of the warehouse, the functions of the salesperson, the functions of the transportation, scheduling, right? All into one platform. Everybody clear? Yes?
Yes.
So there are actually three domains here we are dealing with, right? The warehouse, transportation, and sales. Correct? All right. What are the business objectives? So the major business objectives of the product must be identified. These, of course, objectives have to be quantitative and measurable. You must establish a measurable criteria to assess whether the business objectives have been met or not. So the requirement here says, or the business objective says, the system should assist in increasing the customer numbers to 2,000 by next year, right? Is this a measurable statement?
Yes.
What makes it measurable?
It puts like the quantity, like they have
Okay.
like the number 2000, and it's like the next year, the period that have been
All right.
defined.
The timeline as well as the quantity is identified, right?
Yes.
So there, when I say next year, what does that mean?
In which year they are working?
In which year they're working?
Yeah, I mean,
So
like if it is work, if it is today.
okay, so next year you would say from today, meaning January 1st, 2023. Yes?
From today, or like what's the
Or what? Why are you saying or? Isn't it clear?
like
Not clear, right?
okay.
Is it next year after we go live? Is it next year from today? Is it next year from when we start the project? What the hell does next year mean? Right?
Yeah.
Also, customer numbers to 2,000. Does that mean we need to increase it 2,000 more or to get to 2,000?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
What do you mean that's correct? I gave you two different statements. Which one do you lean on?
I mean, it's not clearly identified like what's.
Not clearly identified, right?
Yes.
So
Correct.
yes, while it is kind of measurable, but it's not very clear, right? If I was the one writing this, I would have clearly said that the system should assist in increasing the current customer numbers from 500 to 2,000 by October 2023. Is there any doubt in the statement I just gave? No, right? I mean, I've even put an exact month, right? Yes,
Yes.
you can go live 30 days, but it's better than next year, right? I could even say Q3 of 2023, right? Which would give me even more flexibility, or starting Q4 2023, right? To give me a little bit flexibility, but the flexibility should not be like next year. And next year of what? If I said by the end of 2023, okay, that's still better, right? You know, you got till December 2023. Yes? Everybody clear?
Yes.
All right. Customer and market needs. Project the needs that are not yet being met by the marketplace or by existing customers. Mention the problems the customer will be facing on encountering which the new product will as well as will not address. List both. Mention the needs clearly so later on the functional requirements can be traced back to them. All right. Client and stakeholders. Get to know the client, get to know the customer, get to know their interests, understand the customer's problems, understand what the client is aspiring to do, get to know your acceptance and non-acceptance criterias from the client. Okay, so in our example, of course, we have client XYZ systems. What are they aspiring to do? They want to create a generic system that will suit to most of the supermarkets. Who's going to be our very first customer that we will pilot this with? It's going to be ABC Supermarket. What are the problems we are trying to address? We're trying to make it so it's unable to give prompt schedules, the current problems, and on-time deliveries. These are our goals or objectives that we are trying to meet. All right, I'm going to skip this slide, this dumb slide. All right, list all the possible major requirements that the system must possess, which are the major features of the system. Also, the overall functionalities that the product can acquire, right? That leads us into the scope. What is the scope? So the project scope will define basically the concept and the range of the proposed solution. The scope is set by dividing the work from its surroundings. The scope is defined by defining the work context with clearly defining the domains, right? And we kind of did that. We said there are 3 domains here. What were the 3 domains? What were the 3 domains in this example? Come on. Talked about this. What are the 3 domains in this example?
For a project, we can say, I'm not sure, but yes, warehouse, transportation, sales.
Warehouse, transportation, and sales. Correct. These are the 3 different domains, right? The warehouse has a warehouse manager, has warehouse employees, right? They are doing their functions, right? Stocking, restocking, ordering, all of that is warehouse functions, right?
Yes.
Transportation functions is basically it's arranging for all deliveries, pickups, this, that, interfacing with different carriers such as UPS. It could be using FedEx. It could be using, ground transportation, other things as that. Those are all functionalities of the transportation area, right? And then you have the sales side, right? The salesperson that is meeting the customers, taking the orders. Right now, it doesn't seem that they're going to be building a interface which will allow the customers directly access to the ordering, right? I think they're still keeping that they're going to go through a sales rep or somebody that will be putting the orders in. But I think the final stage or the final goal will be to expose the system as an external facing application where the customers themselves can place their orders, right? And reduce the workload of the sales. Agreed?
Yes.
All right. Scope, inclusion, and exclusion. So inclusion are all features that are included in the current release, which are in the scope, while exclusion are features that are not part of the very first or current release, but are part of the overall project. Sometimes we call the scope and the vision a strategic roadmap. Okay, strategic roadmap is for projects that will be lasting like 5 years or so, 3 years, 5 years strategic roadmap, right? Of course, you're not going to wait 3 years or 5 years to release your application, right? Agreed? Guys,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
agreed.
right? So, of course, in the strategic roadmap, you will have things that are part of the overall scope. For example, let's go to our capping example, right? Remember capping example for the payroll, the HR problem? We discussed this yesterday also, you remember?
Yes.
Right? We're going to be building a employee managed pay stub portal, correct?
Yes.
And today, this employee managed payroll portal is only for the payroll in the HR, correct?
Yes.
And the inclusions there were login, viewing your pay stub
Candidate based stuff. Yes.
monthly, semi-monthly basis, and downloading them, right?
Yes,
One of
correct.
the initial functionalities that we bring in. Tomorrow, we may start to increase this to bring in W2s. Like, for example, if I was looking to do it right now, W2 is a very important function for right now, right? Tax season,
Yes, correct.
correct?
Yes.
But what if I was looking to go in, say, June? Is W2 an important function for June?
No.
No, right? But what if I was looking to go live in November? Then yes, right? Make sense?
Yes, correct.
Today, this is only for one area of the HR, which is payroll, right? Tomorrow, as part of a strategic roadmap, I can look to bring other domains in, right? Such as benefits, right? Training, HR functions, right? Other HR functions, right?
Yes, correct.
Those could be part of the overall strategic roadmap, right? Today, we are starting this for the payroll department. After we bring some payroll functions, like for example, today it's only being able to see your pay stubs and everything. Tomorrow, I can bring direct deposits in here. I can bring W2s in here, right?
Yes.
Right? After that, I can bring benefits in here, right?
Yes.
In benefits,
Review
we can
status.
start off with medical, dental, visual, 401k. I can bring compensation in. I can bring training in. I can bring, mandatory training. I can bring compensation in. A lot of different areas of the HR, right?
Yes, correct.
So those would be part of the exclusion. They will not definitely be part of the very first release, but they're part of the overall scope of the project, right? Everybody clear
Yes.
on inclusion versus exclusion? All right. Scope diagram. So scope diagram are also sometimes referred to as content diagram or data flow diagram. So that you write these four names. So you can hear four different names for this type of diagram. Data flow diagram, interface diagram. You may hear ER, E for entity, R for relationship, entity relationship diagram, or content context diagram. All right. There are four different names for the similar type of diagram. All right. So a data flow diagram will show the scope of the system, that shows the system's boundary, any external entities that are interacting with it. That's why it might be called an ER diagram, entity relationship diagram, with the system as well as the major information, which is AKA data, which is flowing between the entities and the system. The diagram will show the information provided to and received from the system domain. The context diagram will show the interfaces, that's why it may be referred to as an interface diagram also, between the system under investigation and the external entities with which it communicates. Now, if you see a data flow diagram or an entity relationship diagram in the planning stage, then of course it's a very high level diagram, right? Because we're just starting to identify the functions and stuff, right? If you find the entity relationship in a BRD, it is more detailed. If you find it in the FRD, it is even more detailed. If you find it in the TDD, it is extremely detailed. Why? Because with each document, our level of details increases, correct? They're all requirement documents. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Right? Even the scope and the vision has the highest level of business requirements, doesn't it? So it's a requirements document too. Right? Then you have your business requirements, you have your functional requirements, you have your TDD, your technical requirements. Yes? Everybody good? All right, I will take silence as golden. Constraints. So constraints are basically things that will stop you from achieving your goal, right? They affect on all or most of the requirements. You may have solution constraints, constraints that are related to the technical aspects of the problem, project constraints, which involve the financial and the time aspects of the project, right? And here are some examples of constraints. So you may have solution constraints, which may be hardware, software, time, budget, available manpower related. You may have application constraints, which could be like platform dependency or browser dependency. You know, many times we access an application with an older browser. What do we get a message, right? We get a message, please update your browser, right? Because the current browser does not support the functionality. You guys seen that?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right? You need to update the browser. That is another constraint of the application because the application is using some functionalities which are part of the newer browsers and not the older ones, right? Then you have your project schedule constraints, could be start and end dates. You have cost constraints, money, right? And then resources. And resources can be both hardware or software related, right? Not hard, I mean hardware, software, as well as manpower, right? Hardware means, you know, you need your servers, you need your blades, you need your infrastructure there, right? And of course, manpower means your actual developers, architects, all that. Everybody clear? Whatever constraints you're aware of, document it during the planning stage in the scope and the vision. Assumptions and dependencies. We need to be able to record any and all assumptions that were made when you were conceiving the project and writing the scope and the vision document, okay? Any major dependencies that the project must rely upon, for example, specific technology, partners, third-party vendors, right? Development partners, or even other business units or business relationships. Whatever assumptions and dependencies we have to list it because if for some reason a dependency is not being met, that would result in delays in the project, right? And those have to be identified and managed and maintained. Who typically manages constraints and risks and assumptions? Who's the one managing this stuff?
BR?
Who?
BA, sorry, BA.
No. Who's the author of the scope and the vision?
Uh,
Who put the
the
scope and the vision together? Got, huh?
yeah, just a second.
In just a second. Well, if you have the notes, you can go and get it. Answer is PM, project manager, right? Why are we teaching you about the scope and the vision? Remind me again who you work for?
Project manager.
Project manager.
Project manager. So he may ask you to put this thing together. You understand?
Okay.
Although it is his deliverable. You're not going to be walking this through. He's going to walk the business through this, okay?
Okay.
But he may ask you to do the work, put the document together. You
List
understand?
down all, yeah, list down all those things.
Yes. Glossary. Well, glossary, everybody should know. We have seen glossary at the end of all our books, right? Our major textbooks, which basically includes the definitions, acronyms, abbreviations that might be unfamiliar to some readers. For example, technical terms that may not be understood by the end users, or domain-specific terms which may be unfamiliar to the developers. Remind me again, the requirements need to be close to who?
Client.
Business,
Yes.
right? Business. And sign off. We know all our documents get signed off, right? Scope and the vision, project charter, BRD, FRD, TDD, right? The team, the customers, stakeholders all will come together to sign off this report to indicate their approval of the scope and the vision. The sign off will also indicate that the team, the customers, and the stakeholders all agree that the project team has met the requirements for completing the scope and the vision, and that the project is ready to proceed to the next phase. What's the next phase? Load. What's the next?
Requirement gathering.
Correct. Your phase, requirement gathering and analysis, right? Which phase are we in? Where is the scope and the vision? In the
First,
first.
planning,
Naam.
planning, inception, initiation.
Planning, initiation, inception phase, right? Thank God you didn't, when I asked you what is the next phase, you said second phase. You know the details, give the details. That's what a BA does, right? All right, that ends session number 3. Any questions, guys? Okay, so next session is session number 4. Let's take a quick break. All right, I'll go heat up my tea. And when we come back, what time is it right now? 42, right?
It's 42 right now, yeah.
It's 42. You want to come back by 11
Sure.
and go through this last session number 4 in the last hour? Then we can try to give you your homework assignment. Yes? Let's try to be back by 10:55. How's that? That'll give us an hour, 5 minutes to finish session number 4 and give you the next assignment, which is to do, next assignment is your survey technique. All right?
Yeah,
Sure.
okay, sounds good.
All right, so you got, actually it's like, it's already almost 10:43. So let's take till 11 o'clock. Let's make sure we're back by 11, okay?
Thank you.
You
Okay.
got it. Bye.
Yeah.
We see you in 11. Hey guys, sorry, lost track of time. Everybody back?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, let's rock and roll, guys. All right, so session 4 now takes us into requirements gathering, right? Requirements gathering and analysis stage, which is elicitation of the requirements. Elicitation is another word for gathering or extracting, right? It basically involves collecting the requirements from different stakeholders or users as what is to be accomplished using a wide variety of techniques. These techniques are called requirement gathering techniques. So if somebody in the interview asks you, how did you go by gathering the requirements? You don't say I gathered the requirements by meeting my business users. These are the methods that you should be talking about, okay? So of course it starts, the prerequisite for the requirement gathering is you should have completed the project requirement analysis. You should have the scope, the users and the stakeholders should have been identified. You should know the software methodology you're using, because we know if you're doing it in a traditional manner, then the requirements will be coming in the form of what? BRDs and
FRD.
FRDs. If we are planning on delivering the project in an agile manner, then you know the requirements will be coming in the form of user stories, correct?
Yes.
And we'll be utilizing storyboarding process, correct? Everybody clear?
Yes.
There is no BRD, no FRD in agile. All right? There are no official phases, in agile, right? In agile, each sprint has requirement gathering, has design, has development, has testing in the sprint itself. You understand? Yes? Guys, you're very quiet. Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Determine the elicitation techniques required, also the attributes that need to be captured as part of your requirement gathering. All right. So the skills that you're going to be using, of course, are you're going to be setting up interviews, you're going to be facilitating Jad sessions. Jad stands for Joint Application Development. You'll be using that great observation powers. You'll be resolving conflicts, eliminating the causes of conflicts, trying to reach consensus. You will be using that analytical thinking for your analysis. You will be documenting and listening and communication, right? These are all skills you will be using to gather the requirements. Any questions here? All right. So let's get started with the different types. We start off with Jad session. So what is Jad session? Jad stands for Joint Application Development Session. These are highly structured facilitated workshops that will bring together the customers, the decision makers, the executives all together, along with the IT professionals to produce high quality deliverables in a short period of time. Can be held prior to any specific development activities to review and document the processes. It enables all your stakeholders, both business as well as technical team, to come quickly together to agree on the basic scope, the objectives, as well as the specifications of the projects. You have the ability to resolve any difficulties or differences between the two parties regarding the new information system. Okay, so Jad session can be as little as 2 hours, 4 hours, can also go to 1 day, 2 day, 3 day sessions. When we start to go into this full day or multi-day sessions, we start calling them workshops. Everybody clear? All right. If a Jad session is occurring in the planning stage, what is the deliverable of the planning stage?
Project charter and scope and vision.
Project charter and scope and vision. So all the discussions around the Jad session will be for the scope and the vision and the project charter. We're trying to figure out at a very high level, what are we trying to do here, right? Who's going to be participating in it? Of course, the business stakeholders, you, the BA, the PM, right? These guys. Then if the Jad session is occurring in the requirements gathering and analysis stage of the project, and let's say it's happening at the earlier stages of the requirements gathering, what is the deliverable?
Business.
The business requirements.
PRDs,
PRD.
FRDs.
Early stages.
Yes. Business
BRD.
requirement. Yeah. BRD only.
Right? So we are trying to identify what all features, what all functions we are looking to build. Agreed?
Yes.
Again, participants will be the same. You'll have your business stakeholders, you'll have some of your technology stakeholders, your PM, you, right? Architect, right? If this requirements gathering is happening at the later stages of the requirements gathering, these chat sessions are happening at the later stages of the requirements gathering, then of course we are now trying to answer the question
Functional
how
requirements.
and the functional requirements, correct?
Yes.
Again, you will have the business stakeholders, you'll have the PM, you'll have the BA, you'll have the architect, you may have a couple of tech leads, right? They're all getting together to figure out what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do, right? If this Jad session happens in the design stage, what's the deliverable of the design stage? What comes after the
DDD.
FRD? TDD, technical design document, right? Here, you will not find business, okay? Who's representing the business? During the design stage, who's representing business? Oh Lord, come on, man.
Product owner.
Are product owner, this is traditional.
BA?
Is there a design stage in Agile? Where the hell did the product owner come from? And product owner is a business stakeholder anyways, right?
Yes.
I said there was no business. Who's representing the business?
BA.
The BA.
BA. Damn it, what the hell are you doing in the design? What's your job? Manage the requirements, right? So if during the design stage they have any questions on the requirements, who's going to answer those? Who's going to answer the questions from design team?
Technology.
What?
Design team. Oh,
Design is tech. Tech is answering tech's question.
no.
Oh Lord, you guys are lost. The BA,
Yeah, BA, business analyst.
because the questions are against the requirements, right? Who's managing the requirements? You are,
We are requirement here.
right? So if they have a question regarding the requirements, for example, in our example, when they didn't have the door requirements, you remember that?
Yes.
When the architect was putting the design of the house together and he needed the requirements on the door, who did he go to? Business?
No, business analyst.
Business analyst, right?
Yes.
Go get me my damn requirements. That's your job, right?
Yes. Yes, correct.
Otherwise, you have 30 developers on the team. You want 30 people to go to the technology, to the business head or the client manager? You crazy? You are managing the requirements. It is your responsibility that the design meets the requirements, that the product meets the requirements, right? Before testing ever happens, right? Where would a BA test? In the which stage?
Design phase.
How the hell are you going to test in the design stage? Is the product even built in the design?
No.
Testing phase.
Testing.
Verification phase.
No. Oh God, you guys kill me, man. Where does the BA test? Which stage of the project does the BA test in?
In requirement gathering, we confirm.
You're gonna test in the requirement gathering.
I mean, we going to verify.
What the hell are we talking
Later,
about?
later stage of the construction phase.
Correct. In the damn build and development stage. Before the verification happens, right? Guys, if you can't freaking answer these questions, you need to go back and look at the damn videos again. Because if you answer questions like this when you go to Rajnish sir in a couple of weeks, bye-bye to your marketing. If you can't even answer these silly, stupid questions about where does the BA start testing, what the hell are you doing here? Basic things. You start your testing in the development stage. As the product is coming out of development, you are one of the first people to verify it. Not the first, the second. Who's the first person that's going to verify the code? Who's the
Developer,
first person? The developer. What is his testing called?
white box testing,
Or,
Black box.
not black box. White box or
integration testing,
no.
Unit testing.
Thank you. Goddamn people, go back to your traditional documents and read them again. You guys are like, how can you forget things that you've learned not even a month ago, yaar? Come on. It's not your job that every new class you forget what the hell you've learned in the previous classes. Oh Lord, I need to start taking some blood pressure medications with you guys. So Jad Sessions will simplify and consolidate months of meetings and phone calls in structured workshops. They identify issues and participants. You need to quantify the information and the processing needs. You need to be able to clarify the requirements agreed upon the sessions. Of course, you need to have a clear objective and a clear agreed upon agenda. Who do you think is the one that tells the BA we should go ahead and conduct a Jad session or a workshop? Who do you think would request the Jad sessions or the workshops?
Project owner?
project manager,
Project manager or
PM.
what's the difference between the PM and the project manager?
Oh, yeah.
Project sponsor?
Project sponsor, right? Your business head or your tech head. They're the ones that are telling the
Requesting
PA
the
that we should go ahead and do the Jad session because it's their delegates that will be participating in the Jad session, right? So
Yes.
who's going to help you come up with the objective and the agenda of the Jad session? Both of them, right?
Right.
PM and the project sponsor, whoever is the one requesting it, will help the BA to come up with the agenda and the objectives, right? So now you need to define the objectives of the Jad session by coordinating it with the PM or the business head, the client manager, whoever is the key business sponsor, right? Next, we need to prepare for the session. So if you have to prepare for the session, what do you need to do first? What all things do you need to identify to prepare for the session? What do you think? Let's say I'm your project manager and I say, guys, we need to go ahead and set up a workshop. What do you need to identify? Of course, the objectives, good. The agenda, okay. What else? What else do you need to know? Or is that good enough for you to go ahead and set up the Jad session?
requirements,
Are the requirements is what we need to figure out in the session, yaar? What the hell is the purpose of the Jad session? Remind me? We are talking about preparing for the session. Do you understand? What information do you need to prepare for the session? You need the requirements to prepare for the session. Oh Lord.
Scope and vision document.
What are you going to do with the scope and the vision? What are you going to do with the scope and the vision, Mayank? Was it Mayank?
Yeah, this is my.
Yeah. What are you going to do with the scope and the vision? How will the scope and the vision help you for the Jad session?
For preparing session, like we have to organize the place, the computer.
Correct. You need to know where this damn Jad session will occur, right?
Yes, the place,
What else do you need to know?
timing.
Timing, the date, the time. What else?
Yeah, time, place, and how many recipients are coming.
Who the recipients are, not how many.
Yes, who the recipients are.
Don't you need to know who the damn people are going to be in this session? Do you need to identify your stakeholders? Huh? You think it is important to know who's going to be participating in this session? Guys, think about this. Simple, stupid layman's term. You're going to be setting up a party.
Yes.
You're going to be organizing a freaking party. What do you need to know for that party? Would you like to know who's going to be coming to the party? You think that's important? Mayank, are you washing dishes in the background or something?
Yeah, I forgot to mute.
That's okay. You're taking the class from the kitchen?
No, it's not me, my wife.
I know. I thought maybe you're really multitasking, one ear in the earbud, the other hand on the dish. Lovely.
Let me
You
mute.
don't have this on speaker and me screaming at everybody. All right, guys, you need to know who's going to be coming, who's going to be speaking, when is it, where is it, right?
Is how long a requirement?
Not requirement, nahi, Jad session. Jad session, not requirement. You're going to gather the requirements during the Jad. You're going to be having these collaborative sessions, right? Your agenda should help you, right? When it comes to conducting the session, right? You put together an agenda, right? From 9 to 9:20 is going to be introductions. From 9:20, meaning 9:30 to say, 11 o'clock. This is the topic we'll be discussing. Then from this time to this time, we'll talk for this topic. It's going to be a working lunch. So we're going to continue our discussions. Then this thing will happen. Then that thing will happen. You have a full agenda. Do you understand? So
I have a
what is
question.
the agenda? What Jad session?
I have a question.
What question do you have?
Can we have a Jad session in any of the stages, in like till from planning to deployment?
Why would you have a Jad session in the
Maybe to
testing?
figure out how to release,
Or
maybe to not.
how do what? I can understand. I said you can have it in the planning station, right? You can have it in the requirements gathering session. You can have it in the design.
I
You
will
have a
know.
Jad session in the development stage.
I'm sorry.
Why would you have a Jad session in the development stage?
I wouldn't know. I'm just trying to
You're
say
asking.
that.
I already gave you the answer to that question. You were not paying attention, Mahmoud. I said the Jad session can happen in the planning, it can happen in the requirements or the design stage.
Oh, thank you.
Right? Remember me screaming about when we're talking about design, who's going to represent the business during the design stage? Remember that screaming and shouting?
Yeah, I remember that.
Then that was about Jad session occurring in the design. Of course, business is not there. Who's representing business? You, the BA. After design, development will begin, right? Then testing will begin. Correct? You're done with the requirements, right? You're done with the TDD, you're done with the BRD, you're done with the FRD. Now what are you gathering? Now if any requirements come, they come in the form of what? How do we get requirements outside of the requirements of the design stage? Oh Lord, they forgot this too. How
Like
do we get requirements outside of the requirement stage?
change management,
Change request.
change request, yes. Yeah.
Change management is the process to manage these change requests. And last thing to do is to produce the document. Which document are we talking about? What is the document that comes out after any meeting? What is it called? It's called minutes of the meeting. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Minutes. You need to produce the minutes. The minutes will consist of what the meeting was about, who all participated, what were the topics that were discussed, what were the outcomes, and what are the action items coming out of that meeting. Everybody clear?
Yes.
All right, standard meeting minutes. What was discussed? What were the outcomes? What were the action items? Who's going to be participating in the Jad? Of course, there'll be the facilitator. His job is to facilitate the discussions. This could be your project manager. It could be your business head. He might be taking the lead or she might be taking the lead. You'll have your end users, 3 to 5, that will attend the sessions. You may have your development leads, 2 to 3, to clarify any kind of questions. You may have observers from different departments such as legal, compliance, HR, information security, right? All these different departments. And then you have your SMEs, your subject matter experts, right? What is the advantage, right? It shortens the time frame, reduces the likelihood of errors that are expensive to correct later on, right? Any questions on Jad sessions? So if somebody asks you, how did you go by collecting the requirements? You said that I conducted a lot of Jad sessions, joint application development sessions, right? With various different stakeholders from the business side, from the technology side, right? Clear? Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, stay with me. Don't go to sleep yet. Okay, elicitation procedures. So the requirements that you are collecting should be innovative and should make the product interesting. The work must, of course, be understood from the point of view of the user or the client, the business side. Brainstorm on the way the work can be done better, and then record the results in the proper format. BRD, FRD, user stories, whatever the case may be. The entire agile development is a JAD. Do you understand? Because the entire team is supposed to be co-located, right? Highly collaborative team, right? What is JAD? Joint application development, right? What is agile? Joint application development, correct? Yes? All right, so let's talk about the constraints around requirements gathering. So the number one constraint, and everybody knows the constraint is something that hinders you from meeting your goals, correct? Yes?
Yes.
All
Yep.
right. So the number one constraint is, of course, distance to your business stakeholders. So say if one business stakeholder is sitting in Singapore, right? Another one is sitting in London. A third is sitting in Brazil. Another one is sitting in California. Say your application is going to be a global application with stakeholders across the globe. Then that becomes a problem, right? getting them all into a meeting at the same time is very, very difficult. Why? Because of the time zone differences, right? Between the East Coast and Singapore, it's like almost a 12-hour delta. When it's 8 a.m. there, it's 8 p.m. here. When it's 8 p.m. here, it's 8 a.m. there, right? London is 5 hours different from us. Brazil is on the same time frame as the East Coast. And then California is 3 hours behind us, right? So how do you get everybody into the same meeting? Typically you can't. It's very difficult, right? By the way, do the business stakeholders work on the BA schedule, or does the BA work on the business's schedule? What do you think?
BA works on
BA
stakeholder.
what?
BA works on stakeholder.
BA works on stakeholder schedule.
Correct. So don't be surprised if you're working late nights, early mornings, whatever, okay? In
Yeah.
situations like this. Inadequate time to determine the requirements. In the example we gave you, I gave you 8 weeks last week, right? I mean, yesterday when we did the planning, correct?
Yes, 8 weeks.
What if I told you we have got 4 weeks to gather the BRD? Now what? Now, instead of having 6 weeks to gather the requirements, you'll be lucky if you have 2 to 3 max, right?
Right.
So how much detail do you think you can collect? How many times will you go back and forth? Not many, right?
Yeah.
How often do you think you meet a stakeholder in a week? Typically, how often do we meet our business stakeholders in a week? You think you meet them
Once in
every day?
in a week.
What do you think?
Once in a week, maybe.
Once to twice a week, you should be able to meet him, right? Remember, your business stakeholder has his job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your business stakeholder was a loan officer, what's the job of a loan officer?
To
Give you a
disburse the
requirement?
loan. No.
No. Process loans for the company, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Will he be rated on the number of loans he processed or how good requirements he gave you?
Number of loans he processed.
Number of loans he processed, right?
Yeah.
So how will you impact his rating? You won't, right? So you are an afterthought for him. You understand? Is it his job to give you the requirements, or is it your job to get the requirements?
It's our job to get the requirements.
It's your job to get the requirements, right? Don't think that it's his job to give you the requirements, your job to gather the requirements, okay? He's there to answer your questions, but you have to make the effort to go get him. Get on me? Project misalignment with the corporate objectives and goals. Well, we said, where are the corporate objectives and goals listed? Scope and vision, or the project charter, right? Make sure you're looking at your requirements, how they align to that. Lack of understanding of the political landscape. What does that mean? That means you walk into a business meeting, and as I gave you an example, don't know if I give it to your class or not. Say you have one SME, Hillary Clinton, another SME, Donald Trump, right? You can imagine the kind of conversation that will be happening in this kind of a meeting, right? Everything that this stakeholder says, the other one will disagree to. Everything the other one says, the first one will disagree to, right? Because these are two very, very big egos clashing against each other, right? And they don't like each other. They might even be competing for the same position. You understand? And last but not least, distrust. Who is this distrust between?
Stakeholder and the BA.
Stakeholder and the BA, correct. Why would there be distrust between the BA and the business stakeholder? What do you think?
I think lack of understanding of the business requirement, or
Well, your lack of understanding, his lack of giving, what are we talking about?
my lack of understanding of the business requirement, or not
Why are you
being
having
able
a
to
lack of
meet the
understanding of the
requirements.
business requirements? Is he giving it to you in French or something? Google
Uh,
Translate not working? It's not the lack of business understanding, it is the
May,
lack of domain knowledge. You understand, Mayank?
yes, I got it.
Right?
I
Gotta
wanted
be
to say,
careful with what you say.
I didn't use the correct
Right?
word. Yeah.
Lack
Lack of
of business
business domain.
requirement understanding means you're not asking good enough questions. You understand?
Yeah.
That's on you. How do you fix that? Ask questions. Do your analysis, ask questions, right?
Yes, yes.
But you can't fix the domain knowledge. You don't have it. You don't have it.
Yes.
What can you do, right? You're trying to gain it, right? You understand?
Yes. Yes.
Right? If I told you, Mayank, gather all the requirements for building a Tesla, do you have any domain knowledge on Tesla?
No,
No, right?
I have to gain
But
the
does
knowledge.
that mean that when the guy is telling you the requirements for a Tesla, you won't understand them? Of course you'll understand them. They're going to be in English, right?
Yes, yes.
Right? You just got to keep analyzing, keep asking questions so that you take any doubts out of yourself, right? But that doesn't change that you have zero domain knowledge, right? You're not a mechanical engineer, right?
Right, right.
Right? Even if you knew how to work on a car, yes, you have a lot of domain knowledge. You understand the components of a car, but not necessary that every component will be the same. For example, you know an engine, but the knowledge is of a combustible engine, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And this one doesn't have an engine. It has a drive shaft,
yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah.
So the engine concept is different, right? But do you think the Tesla has a suspension?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Every
of
car
course.
has a suspension.
Every car has a suspension, right?
Yes.
Do you think a Tesla has a transmission?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Oh yeah,
It's a
it does. Yeah.
motor.
Or
It
does it
only
have a
has
suspension?
It could
straight
have.
power coming from the torque right to the thing. It doesn't have different gears, right? That's why when you step on it, there is no shifting of gears. It just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a little, RC, right? It's just a bigger
By the way,
RC.
yeah, by the way, how did you gather all this knowledge? Do you
Huh?
drive Tesla or?
No, I don't drive a Tesla. No, but I like Tesla, so I know about Teslas, right?
Okay,
Right?
okay.
But there is a motor. It's just not an engine. You understand?
Yeah.
There is a motor. It actually, if you have a
It's on the
four-wheel,
wheels, right?
well, it sits in the back.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought it
Tesla
was on
doesn't
the
have an
wheels.
engine on the front, but also they have
a battery.
two motor-driven Teslas, right? Where you have one motor sitting on the front two tires and one another motor sitting on the back two, right?
Is it like a
Power is
faster
getting
one?
distributed. So, you know, so it's like that, right? You don't understand it, but you will gather it and you'll keep asking questions, right? Who's going to be your SME? Probably a engineer, right?
Yes.
An automotive engineer will probably be an SME, right? One that has worked on like e-vehicles, right? Electronic vehicles, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Electric vehicles, right? So why is there distrust? One could be, of course, because you don't have any domain knowledge, right? Another distrust could be you go back and you ask the same question again, which he already answered. Believe me, they will shunt you left and right. Don't be surprised if he turns around. Did we already talk about that? Go look at your notes from the last meeting.
A lack of
And
presence of mind.
they will tell you this in front of 20 people. Why do you think I'm screaming at you guys to pay attention and take notes? Why do you think Sayyid, right? Sayyid was asking for the notes. Why do you think, Sayyid, I didn't share the notes with you? Because I don't want you to be in a situation where you're sitting with like 10 people in a conference room asking a question and the guy in front of you is a real mean bastard, right?
Right.
And throws you over the bus. And then puts the bus in reverse and makes sure he rolls over you one more time just to make sure Sayyid is dead. You understand?
Yeah.
They will do that to you.
Right. I understand.
And after that, guess who they're going to be bitching and complaining more to? Your manager. So it's not only will they embarrass you in front of 10 people, afterwards they'll be complaining to you, to your manager. All right. So you will have tread marks coming out of this meeting, and then you're going to go into your manager's office, and then he'll drive over you a couple of more times. You understand?
Yeah.
Got to be focused. Got to develop those listening skills. You got to keep going back and looking at your notes, revising, right? Analysis comes as a secondary part. The first is listening and gathering. You understand? If you don't listen, you don't gather, what goddamn analysis will you do? That is why BAs have very, very strong soft skills. You understand? The other reason for distrust is many times when we do projects of automation and we are trying to automate things from a manual process to an automated process, what is one of the byproducts of automation? What is one of the things that comes out of any kind of automation? Reduction of manpower, right? So why would he help you make his job unstable? You understand? Everybody clear? Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Oh, okay. I'm scared that not a single peep coming from anyone. Right? Everybody clear?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the different techniques. Continuing. So the techniques that you're going to be using are, of course, based on situation and applicability of the project. They can be used in any sequence and any combination. The techniques that you will use for requirement gathering will be based on, of course, the project and the location, right? So the next technique we want to talk about is creating models, or UML, Unified Modeling Language. So what BAs do is, after they have gathered amounts of requirement, they can convert these requirements into visual models, right? So modeling will help in creating better questionnaires. Models will become a common language between the users and the analyst. It helps in segregating the system and keeping useful units, and the models have to be precise. But remember, you will gather the requirements before and then create a model. For example, this model is called a process flow diagram, right? Guess what? To make a process flow diagram, what do you need to know first?
Requirement.
Oh, yaar. To make a process flow diagram for making chicken biryani, what do you need to know?
Recipe.
No, how to make the chicken biryani. You need the directions first, right?
Yes.
If you don't know how to make the chicken biryani, can I ask you to put a diagram together to show me how to do it? Huh? Can you
No.
guys put together a process flow diagram for the FDA's drug approval of COVID-19, Pfizer's COVID-19 shot? Can you please put a process flow diagram together for it?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't have the
You don't know the process.
process. Yes. Yeah.
How can I make a process flow diagram without knowing the process? In the same way, can you put a data flow diagram together for the drug research
No.
approval for the FDA for COVID-19, Pfizer's drug? No.
No.
You don't even know who all are the different entities involved here, right? You need to know and gather these requirements and these processes to make these models. You understand? So the models will come after you have gathered the requirements. The models is a visual representation of the requirements. Do you understand? But if you don't know the requirement and the process, you can't create a process flow diagram. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Yesterday, we put down and we documented the entire process of withdrawing cash from an ATM, right?
Yes.
If you have never ever done that process, how can you put it into a diagram?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes.
Gather the knowledge, gather the requirements, then convert the requirements into a visual diagram like this, and then give the diagram to the business stakeholder to get their approval quickly. You understand?
I don't think I can hear you anymore.
Uh-oh,
Okay, no, sorry, I can hear you now.
what's going on here? Okay, it's working.
Yeah, for a moment I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't hear you as well. Yeah.
yeah, it gave me a message that they couldn't hear me for some reason. You good now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So assisting the user basically is getting the complete knowledge of the domain by looking at the user, the business user working with the system. So for example, if you were trying to understand the loan process, you could go and you could sit down with the loan officer while he's processing a loan or talking to a client who's applying for a loan, right? That is called assisting the user. Clear? Basically, questions can be asked at the time of work itself. It serves as a good method to supplement interviews. The problem we run into is it is often difficult to obtain unbiased data because people will often work differently when being observed. For example, if you're driving on the highway, Syed,
Yeah.
my favorite, what speed do you drive on the highway?
I need to find
Typically.
out the highway speed limit.
Okay, so if it's a 55 mile an hour highway, what are
Yes.
you typically driving?
It's 55, so I'm doing 64.
60? Oh, it does 9, okay. Most of us will even go till 70, right? So suddenly, you typically drive 60, what was it, 64 to 70, somewhere around there,
Right.
right? Suddenly you come close to an over the ramp on and you see a state trooper pulling up on the ramp and joining the highway. Do you continue to drive 64?
No.
Now he's coming under 60.
Oh, yeah, 64 is, you can pass. That's why
You
I
can
keep it
get
at
you
that.
can get a ticket for 64 too. Don't think that.
Oh.
It depends if he's trying to fill his quota. Okay, you're
True.
not gonna be happy when you get pulled for 64,
Very true.
but you will be, right? What would you most probably do? You might even slow down and let him go, and then I'll speed up when he pulls up and he goes forward, right? Probably he's looking for a bigger fish, right? Same way, let's say Sayed, you're a teacher, right?
Yes.
And you're teaching your math class, right? And you're chilling out with your students talking about, hey guys, did anybody see last night's Grammy Awards? Right? Did you see what Beyonce was wearing? Suddenly the principal walks into your class. Are you still continuing to talk about Beyonce's dress?
No.
Probably not, right? Now it's all about quadratic equations, right? So people typically work differently when they're being observed, right? So that's why sometimes this runs into a problem. Everybody clear? Assisting the user or shadowing, another technique. All right, the most common technique, of course, is your interview technique. Interviews are the most common method. Interviews, of course, should be a two-way exchange of information used to mutually define problems as well as opportunities for information technology applications within a business function. The interview process can be used to identify assumptions, constraints, as well as obstacles. All right. Interviews must be used in conjunction with other methods, like we just said, you use shadowing as well as interviews at the workplace, right? The questionnaire for the meeting has to be scheduled. Meeting and the schedule must be pre-planned. So make sure you can confirm a place and a time. You review the areas to be covered. You even encourage your interviewee to bring any kind of reference material, right? Because using that reference material, you can do document analysis. That's coming ahead. Okay. How do you confirm the place and the time with your interviewee?
By sending them the invite for like Gmail invite for meeting or calling
Well,
him.
you're not going to be sending no Gmail invite at your work, bro.
We contact them beforehand.
No. You send an invite, but it's not Gmail. It's through Outlook.
Outlook Exchange, yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And how do you confirm the place and the time? You bring up the availability, right? The calendar, and you can see what times he's available and what times he's busy and what times he is tentative, right?
Yes.
If you guys do not know how to check the availability of your stakeholders in Outlook, or how to set up meetings in Outlook, how to set up reoccurring meetings in Outlook, you need to learn that. I'm not sure if I've told you that already, but that is definitely something you should be looking into. Okay. Review the areas that need to be covered and encourage the interviewee to go ahead and bring reference material. Clear? Here are some examples of interviewee sample questionnaires, such as what is the mission of your team, your group, your division, or department? What are your competitors doing that you don't? How do you measure the success in your department? What are your functional goals, right? These are all high level 1 questionnaires, right? So when you get these answered, you can do your analysis on level 1 questions and then come back with level 2 questions. Get those answered, come back, do your analysis, go back with level 3 questions, right? Keep digging. Clear? How do your functional goals relate to your corporate goals? What must go right for you to be successful or for this project to be successful? How much of the business process chain is your concern? What questions are you looking to have answered as part of this project? Who do you rely upon to get the right answers? Where does this information come from? And what are the critical systems that are being used by your department, right? So these are all high level questions, level 1 type of questions, which can start the conversation. Icebreakers, we call them. Clear? You'll be getting more practice on these questions when we do the homework assignment number 2. All right. The next method of requirement gathering is document analysis. All right. Document analysis means eliciting requirements through existing knowledge of the system through documents. It is used in systems where systems will be developed as is. Great basis to start with. Also provides a cross check with other material obtained through other techniques. So if you can get your SMEs to bring you some old BRDs, FRDs on some existing system, then you can read through those documents and come up to speed quickly, right? Agreed? That is called document analysis. It doesn't even have to be a BRD, FRD. It could be operational documents. It could be reference documents. Any documents that can increase your domain knowledge is useful, right? So for example, in our loan officer example, right? You could ask him, do you have any documents on the different types of loans that the company offers and what are their features and what are the specialties on these loans, right? Maybe you can read up on all of that and then go back to him regarding questions on particular loan types rather than asking him very general questions. You understand? Clear? Basically, document analysis is on supporting documents. Get your hands on supporting documents and do your analysis on it. All right, this is the homework assignment, market surveys. So market surveys is basically meant for getting the opinion of multiple people in a short time frame. The questionnaire is prepared to provide to the stakeholders or subject matter experts. The survey requires detailed preparation to ensure needed information is obtained. This is effective and efficient when the stakeholders are not all co-located in one place. So we will be spending the last like 10 minutes, maybe I'll take 10 more minutes after the class to go through the homework assignment and show you what we need to do, okay? So we'll cover market surveys in a few minutes. All right, next one is brainstorming. So this is something that everybody should be familiar with. Brainstorming is something we have done through our college, right? This helps in creating innovative ideas for the new system. You collect different ideas from people belonging to various backgrounds, right? You build one idea on top of the other, and you will sort the most practical and implement those ideas, right? Of course, brainstorming is most done in which method? Which method will do brainstorming the most? Out of all the different requirement gathering methods that we have talked about, requirement gathering techniques, which one would you be doing brainstorming the most in? Which one?
In Jad session.
Jad, of course. Of course, Jad, right? Joint application development has the most people belonging to the most wide variety, right? You have business stakeholders, you have tech guys, you have SMEs, you have different observers, right? Belonging to different areas, right? Where else will you be doing a lot of brainstorming together? Agreed? Yes?
Yes.
All right, come on, stay with me. We're almost there. All right, last one, prototyping. So prototyping, we already talked about prototyping. We talked about prototyping as a delivery method, right? Where we would develop the product in prototypes and release the prototypes, right? It was an iterative method. Prototyping is also a requirement gathering technique. Basically, we are creating models, visual outlooks of a possible system. It is used where models do not exist for a system, where the technical knowledge is unobtainable, or where the environment within which the system must operate cannot be observed. Prototypes, of course, are most useful in user education and risk reduction. Prototypes can reduce the risk of building the wrong system. You've heard the saying, right? A picture is worth what?
Thousand.
1,000
Thousand
words.
what? Dollars?
Yes.
A picture is worth $1,000. What kind of pictures are you selling here, Rosette? Picture is worth 1,000
Words.
words, right? That is why prototyping is so much better. When you go to pick up a automobile's brochure, do you find more pictures in there or do you find more words in there? Wake up. You pick up a brochure for a car. Are there more images there or are there more verbiage there?
Images.
Words are.
Images, right?
Yes.
Where do you typically find the actual specifications of the car? Probably right at the last page, right? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? You have interior picture, exterior picture, you have different color pictures, this, that, close up of this, close up, right? It's all visual outlooks of the vehicle, right? And at the last page, that's where all the specifications of the car is. What kind of engine, what kind of horsepower, what kind of this, what kind of that, right? What other features? All of those are listed almost at the end. No?
Yes. Yes. Right.
Right? By the way, the very initial prototype is called a wireframe. A wireframe, write it down, is nothing but an outlook of what the structure will look like. In other words, a frame of what the possible screen will look like. You understand? It will say the login module will be here, there'll be some advertisement here, there'll be a header here, there'll be a footer here. You understand? Then from that wireframe, we can convert it into a mock-up. And I will show you some mock-ups when we do the walkthroughs if we have the time at the end, right? Which is going to be one of the very last classes we have, right? When I was walking you through my old BRDs. I have some mock-ups in there that I can show you that I put together, right? Then from there, the UID will come into place, right? What's UID? What's UID? User interface
document
design.
designs.
UID, user interface design, which is part of design stage, right? So the wireframe and the mockups may be in the BRD and the FRDs. The design, the UID will of course be in the design stage, made by the UX team, the user experience team. Clear? Any questions on prototyping? All right. Congratulations. That completes session number 4. All right. So let's talk about your homework assignment, the second one. The second homework assignment is this Excel document, the sample questionnaire. And the way you're going to complete the sample questionnaire is by looking at the BRD template that has also been provided to you. Okay. So let's have a look at that right now. All right. So where is it? All right. So if you open the sample questionnaire right here, this is an Excel document. Okay. The sample questionnaire, basically your homework assignment is to complete column B. Okay. You will be entering all the different questions in this column, column B. Everybody can see it? Yes, no,
Yes.
don't feel like doing the homework,
Yes.
don't feel like
Yes.
responding back. What's going on?
Yes, we can see it. Yeah.
All right. When you send one copy of this to one of your SMEs. So say the same questionnaires that you're going to put together will be sent to John, who happens to be your first SME. Another copy of this will be sent to Bob. Another copy will be sent to Mike. These are your 3 separate SMEs who are not all co-located. They're far, far away, right? That's why you're taking survey technique, correct? And when John answers this and Bob answers the same questions and Mike answers the same questions, you will copy paste their answers right next to each other. You understand? So that you can do comparative analysis. In other words, you can see how did John answer this question? How did Bob answer this question? How did Mike answer this question? Of course, for the homework, you don't have to answer the questions because you are not the SMEs. You understand? All you need to do is come up with the questions. How do we come up with the questions? Well, we come up from the questions by the leveraging the sample BRD's template that I sent. And where is that? BRD template. Okay, so you're going to open the BRD template. So this is the BRD template that is also in your email. Okay, this BRD template is an actual city document, but I have cleared all references to city. Logos have been removed, wordage from city has been removed. This is a typical BRD, business requirements document. Most of the companies have their own templates. Most of the templates are like 95% common between company to company. They have very little changes, right? So the first section here is your program ID, your program name, your project ID, your project name. The next table is your document control. So this is where you're going to be putting your document history, right? As you go through those reviews. Remember we talked about yesterday, version 1 to 1.1 to 1.2. Every review will result in feedback. You will update your document, right? Yes?
Yes.
All right. The next table is your documents, reviewers, and approvers list. So we have always said that at a minimum, you have to have one business representative and one technology representative as the approver of the document, right? So who do you think the client manager is? Business stakeholder or tech stakeholder?
Business stakeholder.
Business stakeholder, right? And that would make the project manager the
Technical
Tech head.
stakeholder.
tech
Technical head.
stakeholder, right?
Yeah.
Clear? Excuse me, guys. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. All right. Now we go to the table of content. So this is the table of content. So if somebody ever asks you what all goes in the business requirements document, you simply can't say business requirements go into the business requirements document, right? You have to provide details. So you will say, well, the executive summary goes there. Your objectives go there. Your business problems, your business needs, your goals, your objectives, right? Your scope, your acceptance, your credit. By the way, the entire section 2 sounds like what? What is section 2 sounding like? Where have we heard these things before?
Planning.
Planning is a phase, yaar. The scope and the vision, right? We just talked about all of these, didn't we? Assumptions, constraints, dependencies, acceptance criteria, business goals, business problems, business needs. Didn't we just talk about this in the scope and the vision?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
If the scope and the vision or the project charter was done, then you can take this information from there and put it into your BRD. You understand? But if you can't get your hands on it, guess what? You'll have to do it anyways. Because it is part of your business requirements.
But
Understood?
Yes.
All right. So now let's go to the actual document and start reading it. So this document is really nice because it gives you a lot of insight. So the purpose of homework assignment number 2 is to, number 1, my Lord, what's going on? Suddenly I start getting like 20 messages in a shot. So the homework assignment number 2 is to not only help you put together those survey questionnaires, but it is also there to get you, familiarize you with the BRD, with the business requirements document, as well as the FRD, the functional requirements document. Okay? So you need both of them. All right? So let's, can somebody please read executive summary for me?
The executive summary should highlight the business drivers for the project, the expected benefits, and the current status of the project. The goal is to provide user management with one concise paragraph that simply states the objectives and scope of the project.
Okay. So Sayed, did you understand what you just read?
Yes.
It's English. So
Yeah.
it's not difficult, right?
Yes.
Who do you think is going to provide this information? Is going to be your business stakeholders, correct?
Yes.
Your business sponsor, your SMEs, your client manager, right? And how do you plan to gather this information? Using survey techniques. You got it?
Yes.
So to do the survey technique, you've got to convert what you're looking for, which is this information, in a question. So can you reverse engineer this paragraph as a question?
Yeah, sure, I'll try.
What kind of question you can formulate from the first sentence here? There are multiple questions here.
Okay, so are the
Question number 1.
question number 1, are the business drivers for
Are?
the
No.
no.
Start with a what?
Or what are the business?
Oh, excuse me.
What should the executive summary highlight?
Yes.
The answer is this red paragraph. You want to read it again? Who said what should the executive summary highlight? Who said that?
That was me. That was the question that comes from this.
OS, okay. Read the red paragraph.
The executive summary should highlight the business drivers for the project, the expected benefits, and the current status of the project. The goal is to provide user management with one concise paragraph that simply states the objectives and scope of the project.
You got your answer? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the question you're going to pose to the business stakeholders, which will give you the actual summary. You understand? You remember in the scope and the vision, the first paragraph that Syed read? That was the summary. So, Syed, what's the question you're going to ask? What are the?
Business drivers for the project.
Correct. What are the business drivers for the project? Because that will get you into the summary, right?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, sorry, wrong document. Where is it? Can you please read question number 1? Syed.
What are the business drivers for the project?
Now you know where I got it from?
Yes.
What's another question you would like to put down from the same paragraph?
What are the expected benefits?
Yeah, no, yeah. So you remember this is to the SMEs. So what are the expected benefits we are looking to gain from this project, right? Nice sentence,
Right, yes.
right? Definitely do not ask them what is the current status of the project. That the PM should give you the answer, not the SME, right? Here, when they say current status, they are trying to ask you like, what are some of the problems they're facing? But that exact question will come on the bottom also, right?
Right.
All right. Can somebody please read paragraph number 2? Description and objectives. Come on.
Yes,
No
this
one?
this
Yeah, go ahead.
section is mandatory to meet the minimum A12 requirement. If this section is not applicable, explanation is required. What is
Okay.
the goal of the project and what is attempting to accomplish?
So what's the question is there?
What is the minimum requirement for?
No. No, don't worry about what are the minimum A12 requirements. Business won't know what the minimum A12 requirements are, right? No, don't ask that. You're gonna ask,
What is the goal of the project and what is attempting to accomplish?
right? What's the second question here, buddy?
What is the goal of the project and what is it attempting to accomplish?
Right? High level question, right? Icebreaker. Agreed?
Yes.
Right? Okay, great. All right. Who wants to read 2.1? Let's go.
Define the current constraints, business needs that this project is being initiated to address. What can you create, fix, or improve? What are the drivers for this project? Improved process, risk reduction, external mandate, etc. Also indicate if this project or any requirement within is addressing a corrective action plan or CAP or risk assessment RA. If yes, please specify the site number.
Yeah, CITE number. This is a city infrastructure technology enforcement number. So this is something for city, right? All right. Questions? There's a bunch of them here.
What can you create, fix, or improve?
Not what can you. You're sending a question to the business SMEs. So you can't say you. You think the business SME is
What
going to
can we
create?
create, fix, or improve?
Yes, you need to put the right context there, right? What are we trying to create, fix, or improve? Good question. What else?
What are the drivers for the project?
You already asked that, right, Uzair?
Oh, yes.
You have to be specific now, right? You asked it right here. What are the business drivers? Don't repeat the same question, right? What about these? Can we convert this into a question?
What will be the improved process?
No, what will be me? Are we looking for any improved processes, right? Are we trying to address any risk reduction? Are we trying to address any external mandates, right? Right?
Right.
Are we looking to answer a corrective action plan or a risk assessment, right? Corrective action plan means that your application has gone live, but what has happened is that they have found some issues with the application which require fixing. So there is a corrective action plan put together that we need to follow, or there was a risk assessment that was done against your application, right, which needs to be addressed. Clear? So that's how we're going to be coming up with all our questions. All right. So the final question is, how many questions should there be in column B, right? If you went through the entire document, just the BRD, forget about the FRD, just the BRD, you should be able to come up with 50 questions easy. I've had students that have given me over 160 questions between the two. Understood?
Just a question, how many we have to give it?
If you do anything less than 50, it's no good. That means you did not review the document properly.
Got it.
Got it? Questions? You have both of these assignments are due next week. Assignment number 1 and assignment number 2, all right? Any questions? All right, so next week we'll start session number, what are we on? We're going to be starting 5. All right? Any questions, guys? So we completed scope and the vision. We completed requirement gathering techniques. Now we will be transitioning into the functional specifications. We're going to be looking into use cases, how to put together use cases or how to put together business cases, which is moving towards the functional specifications and more detailed analysis. Questions? All right. In that case, thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Guys, keep going back to your notes. Don't let dust collect on those notes. You understand?
Yes.
Yes.
You're
Sure.
probably about 2 weeks away. Maybe 2 more weekends. We're going to be done with the course.
I just
All right.
wanted to say something. Maybe it will be
Yes, yes.
helpful for the class, for everyone else. Sometimes we are saying the right answer, but he's not only trying to teach us, how to be a business analyst. He's also trying to teach us how we're actually gonna speak at work. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a good reminder for everyone, because sometimes it seems like we're gonna answer the question and then you're correcting us, so we stay quiet because we think we got it wrong, but
No, no, no,
that's
no.
not the case.
Yeah.
He's just trying to show us how to actually respond properly, and that's actually more important than we
Yeah.
actually think right now.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, as BAs, you have to remember, what does it say? The thing is in the pudding. What is it? The proof is in the pudding,
Yeah,
right?
proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding, right? So you guys if you got details, like, if I was to ask you something, Sayed, what kind of car do you drive?
Nissan Rogue.
See, he gave additional information, right? He didn't say, I just drive a Nissan, right? He said Nissan Rogue. Now, by the time I'm done, hopefully he's going to be saying, I drive a 4-cylinder Nissan Rogue, this color, this year. you know,
Yes, exactly.
he knows this information. Don't keep it with yourself. Give it out. Be detail oriented, right? Because the more information you provide, the better the picture draws, right? Now he says, I drive a Nissan Rogue. I have no idea if this is like a newer model of Nissan Rogue, is this an older model of Nissan Rogue, right?
Right.
So he could have said, what year Nissan Rogue do you drive?
2014.
So 2014, right? So
Yeah.
it's in good condition, right?
Yes.
So it's a 2014 Nissan Rogue. How many miles you got?
45, 44.
Oh, very low mileage Nissan Rogue.
Yeah.
All right. So definitely, it's giving me better idea of what type of vehicle he's driving because he's giving me additional supporting information, right? Compared to I drive a Nissan. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I know you drive a Japanese import, right? But that's about where the information ends for me, right?
Right.
But if he didn't, you see how I'm asking him questions? What year, what mileage, what color, right? Because when I document what he's driving, I'm going to document he's driving a 2014 Nissan Rogue with 45,000 miles on it, right? What color?
Dark blue.
Dark blue. Midnight sapphire blue.
Right. The actual color
Right? If
name.
I know the name of the color, I'll throw that in there too. Right?
Right.
With black interior,
Black interior, yes.
black interior, right? So give as much details as you can, right? So that's why, but the basic is the basic, right? You've got to be able to know exactly your phases, your documents, your roles as a BA. You got to know these things. You can't forget them, right?
Right.
Because they will try to convert you as you've done a couple of years of BA. You understand? Because it's easier to market you if you've worked in the field for a year or two, right? You're not a fresher. You're not coming fresh out. You understand? So whatever experience you have, they will try to like change your resume to show you that yes, you were working at this last job. You have about a year as maybe a TA, a technical assistant, and you were doing some responsibilities of a BA. You understand? So you understand the concept. You understand what they're trying to say.
Yes.
But if you don't even know the basis of being a BA, how can they try to convert you and show you that you have a year or two of BA? They can't. You understand?
Yes, very much.
Right? Because when they look for positions, even the entry level positions, they sometimes ask for a year or two. You're like, what the hell kind of entry position is 2 years of experience? It's not really entry. But to the IT, they consider it as entry. You understand? Any
Yes.
questions, guys?
No, that's it.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. All right. Good
All right.
day.
Thank you. Take care.
Good day.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye
Good
for
day.
now.
Bye-bye.